Agni. Mandalam 1, Suktam
31B
Rishi,
Hiranyastupa Angirasa
Devata, Agni, Chandas,
Jagati Trishtubh.
Mandalam 1, Suktam
31.
Rik 10,
त्वमग्ने प्रमादिस्त्वं पितासि नस्त्वं वायस्पृत्तव यामयो भयम् संवारायः सदिनस्तं सहस्रिणस्त्रीणं यन्त्यव्रतपामादाभ्य.
You, Agni, visionary thought, you are father to us. You, one causing our strength, we your companions, together of hundredfold riches, thousandfold, benevolently valiant, come, master of law of conduct, one free from deceit. Existence as a game of chess. Existence is like a game of chess. It requires for the two players involved to have visionary thought, to be able to think many moves ahead. One of the players, the one playing the white pieces, representing light, is the collective that advances existential processes. The other, playing with black pieces, representing darkness, is the collective that derail such processes. The inseparable two constitute what is termed in simple parlance as good and evil. The divinities drive both and also know the nature and character of the final move that invariably ends in a stalemate as the two balance each other out. The challenge of the divinities is to strategize the interim moves in a manner that ensures the final move gets to happen, which they do wonderfully well. Agni leads that collective of divinities, making him the master of the law of conduct, a perfect chess player free of deceit.
Mandalam 1, Suktam
31.
Rik 11,
त्वामग्ने प्रथममायुमायवे देवागन्वन्नहोषस्य विस्पतिम् इलामगन्वन्मनोषस्य सासनीम् पितुर्यत्पुत्रो मम कस्य जायते.
Gods made you, Agni, first living for living, master of creatures, of man, made Ila an instructor of man when son is born from father. Description of existence in a nutshell. Allusion to many truths can be found in this verse. The first is that of the five principles upon which existence rests, either that manifests as space, diffusion that manifests as wind, change that manifests as the power of energy, movement and flow that manifests as water, and grossness as earth. Everything being subject to change, Agni, the catalyst for change, becomes the foremost among the five principles and the master of all creation. Ila is an appellation for earth, which instructs mortals externally in the form of the environment and internally as the genetic code. Mortals can perhaps never be proactive. They can only be reactive, that too in a specific and unique way, as dictated by their genes and the idiosyncrasies of the environment that they live in. This is a description of existence in a nutshell.
Mandalam 1, Suktam
31.
Rik
12.
त्वन्नो अग्ने तव देव वायुभिर्मघो नो रक्षतन्वश्च वन्द्य रातातोकस्य तनये गवामस्य नीमेषम् रक्षमाणस्तव व्रते.
You, Agni, do protect us with your manifestations and munificent protectors, God, venerable guardian of cows, vigilantly protecting in son of offspring in your law of conduct. Acceptance of a mortal and awareness of an immortal. Self-allegiance is the bane as well as the defining trait of mortals. For sans this trait, they become immortals. With it, they identify truth, wealth, and munificence as possessions of divinities. But once they are bestowed upon mortals, they seek protection for both the bestowal and the status of its custody, under the influence of the misplaced notion that it is now theirs, and negligent of the fact that mortals themselves, like those bestowals, are creations of divinities. Just another piece of the picture puzzle called existence. Understanding and realizing this larger notion is perhaps the attainment of consciousness, which is said to be the purpose of life. The acceptance of what is and the awareness that in truth we are much more than what we seem to be.
Mandalam 1, Suktam
31.
Rik
13.
त्वमग्ने यज्ञवे वायुरङ्गारो निषङ्गाय चतुरक्षयुध्यसे यो यातहं यो भृताय धायसे गीरेऽस्मिन्मन्त्रम् मनसा वनोषितम्.
You, four-eyed Agni, protector of sacrificer, for unarmed, kindle within. He who is receiver of oblations for unendangered sustainment. Seek to obtain by mind this hymn even of a poet. Similarity in the structure and usage of the internet and Vedic literature. A truth is a truth only when it is expressed. To be expressed, it needs to be accessible, and to be accessible, its location needs to be known. This is the notion upon which the internet works, with every bit of information that could be truth organized hierarchically and having an IP address for accessing. A simple arrangement during the Vedic era was of recording truths in metric hymns, arranging them into subject-specific collectives and committing them to memory. Reciting them to divinities during formal sacrifices was a way of reiterating truths to keep them from being forgotten in time. The mention of unendangered sustainment is possibly a reflection of this surmise. Agni aids us in this endeavor by kindling this intent in us, as well as being the receiver of oblation, that is a combination of truth recitation and sacrificial offerings that express truth materially and spiritually.
Mandalam 1, Suktam
31.
Rik
14.
स्वभागपुरुषंसायमाघते स्वार्गण्यत्रेग्नः परमम् मनोषितते आध्रस्य यत्प्रमादिरुच्यते पिता प्रभागंसास्य प्रतिशो विदुष्टरः.
You, Agni, praised by many, seek to obtain that highest wealth which is desirable for sacrificer. Father, even of impoverished, you communicate visionary thought. You teach forth directions to ignorant. Very wise. The superiority of mortals and the inadequacy of immortals. Nature is never partial to any of its constituents. Nature's bestowals, material or otherwise, are uniform for all mortals. Form, disposition, lifestyle, no bar. So it is with nature's principal agent, Agni, as well as all the other supporting divinities. They are scrupulous and faultless in their occupation of reaching nature's bounties to all its recipients, obviously being eternally ignorant of scams, shams, frauds, and deception. This is perhaps the superiority that mortals enjoy, and the inadequacy the immortals suffer, at least from the mortal perspective. Life will be without its spicy deviations and insipid regularities, the pinnacles of glory and the nadars of infamy, the tumults of pleasure and the tempestuousness of pain, if the mortals adopt divine ways.
Mandalam 1, Suktam
31.
Rik
15.
त्वमग्ने प्रयदक्षिणम् नरम् बर्मेव स्यूतम् परिभासि विश्वताः स्वादक्षद्मायो वासतौ स्यो न कृज्जीवजातम् यजते सोपमादिवः.
You, Agni, protect from all sides self-subdued compliance, like armor woven around man, who provides sweetness, who causes comfort as a sacrifice to man in habitation, the sacrifice of living beings, he, the highest of heavens. The universal laws of conduct and its various mortal interpretations. Nature's law of conduct, Dharma, isn't just the laws alone, but an underlying institution that ensures appropriate recompense to every action. This notion is expressed in every religion, which are essentially different versions of the law of conduct, expressed according to the predispositions of the members of societies that follow them. A soft expression of the need to follow this law for our benefit is the statement from the Bhagavad Gita, which says that the laws of conduct protect those who adhere to them. A more severe expression can be found in the Abrahamic religious texts, which declare an eye for an eye. Both convey the same meaning, that there is recompense for any act in appropriate measure in the scheme of the universe. The verse asserts that Agni is the one who spearheads its effective implementation.
Mandalam 1, Suktam
31.
Rik
16.
इमामग्ने शरणिम् मे मृडो न इममध्वानम् यमगामधूरात् आभिः पिता प्रमादि सोम्यानाम् प्रवीरसृषिगन्मत्यानाम्.
Agni, do pardon this our obstinacy, this road which we went from afar, friend, father, and visionary thought of the Soma offerers. You are restless sage maker of mortals. Sage making and sage breaking. There appears to be an apparent paradox in this verse. The earlier verses of this collective have emphasized that every action is a sacrifice in the cause of the progression of the universe, that everything related to it, from the formulation of a thought to do it to its ultimate physical execution, happens only within the purview of Agni. This would mean that Agni would be a willing participant even in actions that may be detrimental to universal progression. If he has to adhere to both the cosmological perspective of a definite beginning and definite time-based end of the universe, and activities subject to mortal whims, there will arise a conflict of interest, unless such whimsical actions too are part of the universal script. If it be so, then such acts are no longer whimsical. Terming such activities as having been caused by obstinacy and asking Agni's pardon becomes meaningless. If Agni is a sage maker, he will be a sage breaker as well, if the script so demands it. Perhaps this is the idea that the composer actually wishes to convey.
Mandalam 1, Suktam
31.
Rik
17.
मृष्पदग्ने अङ्गिरस्पदम् गिरो यादिवत्सदने पूर्ववच्छूचे अच्छायाह्यावहादि व्यञ्जनमासादय बर्हिणि यक्षीणप्रियम्.
Agni, Angiras, bright and pure, as before, like men, like Angiras, like Yayati, do come, verily, do carry divine people, do cause them to sit on sacred grass, and do perform sacrifice that is liked. Can immortals have perspectives? The efficaciousness of an action or a process is determined and measured by the result it produces. The primary purpose of considering every mortal activity as a sacrifice is to contain and, if possible, eliminate self-centeredness that is the cause of the problems we face. As responsibility of the continuance of the progression of the universe is assigned to the divinities from a mortal perspective, they should certainly welcome and promote such activities by mortals and should happily see them through to their fruition. This is the sentiment expressed by the composer in this verse. Mortals perhaps may never get to know the perspective of the immortals on this matter. Maybe they never had one. And once they succeed in making a sage of a mortal by eliminating the latter's self-centeredness, the sage too would be like an immortal with no perspectives.
Mandalam 1, Suktam
31.
Rik
18.
एतेनाग्ने ब्रह्मणा वा वृधस्पशक्ती वायत्ते चकृमाविदा वा उदरप्रणेष्वलिवस्यो अस्मान् सन्नस्पृजसुमत्या वाजवत्या.
Agni, do increase by this heard word of wisdom, or by power, which we made for you, or by knowledge. Besides, you will lead us forward toward being wealthier. Do create us together with well-endowed intelligence. Symbiotic relationship between mortals and immortals. Vedic thought often mentions of a symbiotic relationship between immortals and mortals, especially humans, with universal truth as the currency of exchange between them. Immortals make us realize truth by their grace, while humans perceive in wonderment truth at work all around them and extol the immortals for it. This extolling supposedly increases the resolve of the immortals to continue with their work with the same efficiency. Perhaps this alludes to the possibility that humans themselves increase the efficiency of their living by realizing truths and in humility attribute it to the immortals. The last tendency mentioned will be applicable to those mortals that have overcome and grown out of the debilitating hold of self-centeredness, either by their own effort and understanding or by the grace of the immortals that can only be if it is so ordained. If you found this video informative and relevant, please like and share it. If you would like to see more such videos in this ongoing series, please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you for viewing.